Hey, welcome to the Peep Show, episode 3 of Talk. And so today we've got an exciting guest. You may know him from Dodge Rehab in the great state of Ohio. It's Andrew Lang. Hey, Andrew.
Hello.
So Andrew has a YouTube channel, Dodge Rehab, and he seems to make it his mission to save every Dodge within about a 1,000-mile radius. So how many Dodges do you have right now?
Okay, let me think. I got a
You have to
between
think
it's
about
between
it.
me and
That's a
my
problem.
dad. Huh?
If you have to think about it, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is a well, it is between me and my dad, to be fair. I mean, not to get into the story of how everything got in, but he's got some, got some, but they're ours. We have a 1 3/4 ton WC 55 that was converted into a 52. I have 2 1/2 ton Dodges and 2 M37s for a total of 5 Dodges in the fleet.
Okay. Okay. So you've got half ton, 3/4 ton, and M series.
Yes.
And what are you guys working on right now? Or
We are
what projects have you done and what are you working on right now?
well, we started out with a 1943 Ford GPW. We finished that. That is currently on loan to Vintage Wings in Pennsylvania. Definitely worth checking them out if you're ever up in Pennsylvania. Um, so we finished that, and then less than a month after we finished the Jeep, my dad just texted me one day and he said, "I want a Dodge." Because he had seen one at the MVPA convention in Cleveland,
Yeah,
and he
careful
said,
what you wish for. Now
what
you
is
got
that?"
five Dodges.
Yeah, it turned into a problem. But I said, if you really want me to look, I'll look for you. And in less than 30 days, we were dragging home the 55.
Uh-huh.
So that's how. So we got those two working together on completing a March of 42 Dodge WC 21 open cab weapons carrier, coming along great. And I have been branching out on my own and working on a 1952 Dodge M37 that my buddy Luke Sparks found for me down in Oklahoma. And he trailered it up here, and I've been working on it ever since.
Okay. Okay, so really you've got two projects. You got a half ton and M series going on right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of going two at the same time.
Okay. So what stages are you in with both projects?
WC 21 is about 60% complete, going on 70% here very soon. I just finished rebuilding the headlight buckets. They turned out fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The
I saw
engine was
your
the
videos were
engine
great.
the engine was already running great before we took it apart. We didn't really take apart the engine, just did a general mechanical inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So we anticipate we're working over the holidays to kind of put the engine bay back together. And as soon as it's done, we get oil in it, get it running, make sure everything's okay. We've got all the sheet metal painted, repaired, and ready. So it's going to go from, what did I say, 60%? It's going to go from 60 to 80% pretty doggone quick in the next couple weeks.
Okay. So that's
My,
that. Oh, okay.
my,
What about the other project?
oh yeah, the M37 is coming along slow. That's what happens when you're soloing it and you're a father of two and they come first. So it's I'd say about 55-50% done.
Yeah, so you're a father of what, an M37 and a WC 21? Is that the two
Yeah,
you're
right.
counting?
No, I have two actual kids.
Oh, when do you have time for that?
I, well, it's all a matter of balance, and you wonder why I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, yeah. And what Dodges have passed through your hands?
A Dodge WC6 Command Car, which
Mm-hmm.
is currently with Troy.
Mm-hmm.
He is reviving that thing, and it actually brings a tear to my eye just to see his post, because I'm like, that thing was beyond saving. I should have never have gotten it, but I did. From New
Yeah,
Jersey, that's a whole different ball of yarn. So
yeah.
that one came and went. There was a WC7 that came with that. So I bought two at the same time. That one went to Luke Sparks. I
Okay.
had also a 19 July 11th, 1955 Canadian M152, a very rare variant, a radio van. They call it a panel utility truck. So if you
Hmm.
can imagine the panel trucks and the carryalls of World War II, well, take that into the post-war time, and Canada was the only one to pick up on that. The U.S. did not make those utility vehicles, so I had one of those, and that one was sold to a kind gentleman that, and it's currently up in Medina at a. It's the centerpiece of a indoor airsoft arena.
Oh.
So when you're going in there and playing and all that, it's right there and in the center, and people love it. And so
Hmm.
it's getting better treatment there than just sitting outside at my place.
Hmm. That was a really cool truck. If the people aren't familiar with it, it kind of looks like an ambulance, except it has a an M series ambulance, except it has windows along the top of it.
Yes.
Um, and I believe it was like a command post vehicle, something like that.
Well, the technical term is utility vehicle, but the Canadians really were into the radio part. So they would turn it in. It was typically used as a radio van. I am 90% sure mine was assigned to the Royal Canadian Air Force, as there was traces of yellow paint below the paint that was on it already. And I found a RCAF squadron number on it.
Hmm.
So all of that combined, to me, it was probably used as probably maybe getting the pilots to and from the planes. I can't be too sure.
Hmm.
I hated to let that one go too, but I just felt so bad letting it sit because it had already spent years sitting. Now it's sitting at my place, and I'm like, you know what? For something this rare, it's got to get under a roof. So that's why I let it go.
Yeah. We have two questions today, and the hot topic today is which is the best military Dodge? Half ton, 3/4 ton M series. We're going to come back to that. So I think based upon what you've already said, I know the answer to this for you, but are they all worth saving?
Are they all worth saving? And my answer is it depends. And this is coming from a guy that would save a piece of rust if I knew it came from General Patton's chair, you know? It honestly, it depends. If it's in even average shape and you're willing to spend the money to restore it to properly reflect its service life, then yes, they should all be saved. From my viewpoint, okay, I'm a millennial, okay, born in 1989, and what I'm seeing is a lot of my generation has literally stopped caring. Not all. I'm not throwing everyone under the basket here, into one basket, but more and more of them are worth saving over time because that means there's going to be more of them present and in front of people to say, hey, there was this big event that happened in days past, and we need to tell that story. These are going to be the only living veterans left before long because all the people that drove them into combat and in training and all that, they're going to be passed on here very, very soon.
Hmm.
And that, therefore, the mantle of responsibility and the torch is going to be passed on to us. So if you find one sitting in a field and it's not completely destroyed, it's worth grabbing, even if it is for parts to resurrect another one. We
Hmm.
have to do everything we can.
Yeah,
That's my
on your point about being the only that I don't they're not I don't think of them as living survivors. I think of them as moving survivors.
okay.
I started working with Honor Flight in 2009, and our flights were 100% World War II guys. Maybe a Korea guy, a random Vietnam guy who was terminal, who wasn't going to make it much longer. But my last flight before COVID, which was November of 2019, I think we had one World War II vet and maybe three or four Korean vets, and the rest were all Vietnam. And the World War II guys are like, oh, I want to let the guys who weren't as healthy as me go. And like, you're 93. What are you talking about? So I absolutely know what you mean about that. And my own personal opinion is I think there's just a point of diminishing returns. And I have a quick story. It's well, I don't know. maybe a year ago, there was someone that was selling a slat, and it was literally just a rusted out cowl, a rusted frame. Like the frame was just junk, and the cowl was there. It did have the glove box door. It did have the tag on it, and this person was convinced that this thing was savable. And I was interested in getting a slat clearly because I have one now, but yeah, I didn't think I could get into one for under $20,000 or $25,000. And fortunately, I
Hmm.
fell into a good opportunity, and I did. But um, so basically, I made an offer to this guy. I mean, basically, look at the pictures. I'm like, this thing is just junk. I mean, there's really not much there. The only thing of value is the provenance of the slack rail,
Right.
and 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 he was willing to cut the thing in half to ship it to me. I'm like, why would I want you to ship me rusty metal? I pay a bunch of money for this thing and then ship me some rusty metal that I'm just gonna scrap. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you this amount of money for the front fender or the front fender frame with the data plate or the tag on it and the glove box door because the rest of it's junk. And I made a
Yeah.
nice offer for that. I really just wanted the provenance of the slack roll. And I figured I would just start from scratch and build a Jeep from scratch. Basically, a repro
Right.
slat with a little bit of provenance, but still, I thought at that point that was the only way I was ever going to get a flat. And the guy's like, no, 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 I'm holding out for somebody who can save the whole thing. I'm like, okay, well, good luck with that.
Good luck. Yeah.
And I think it's probably still for sale.
It probably is. And that's I think one of the biggest curses of being in this hobby is that as the projects that are out there get fewer and fewer in number, as the good projects get bought up, and as the barn finds slowly get found, and of course, in this great United States, there will be barn finds for years to come. However, people start, and right now, think about it this way too. We're entering the 80th anniversary of every single major event in World War II. It's right happening right now. We just had the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. People's interest is going to perk up again. I experienced this with Japanese Arasakas. I was a major connoisseur of Arasakas. And when VJ Day would come around, prices of everything would skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we get into the 80th anniversary of all these major World War II conflicts, you're going to see people look, hey, that Jeep back there, it's probably a CJ, but they're going to say it's a World War II Jeep. And I want $5,000. Well, I can see all the way through to the floor. I can see to the ground.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad because people inflate value based on a story, but we're here to buy the item, not the story.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. I was just listening to a podcast with Jay Leno and Adam Carolla, and Jay Leno loves the story. Of course, he's got more than enough money to. He buys quality stuff, but he also buys it with a good story, and he'd almost rather have a more average vehicle with a great story than a more rare vehicle with no backstory. A random factoid in a town I live in here, Columbia, Missouri. Are you familiar with Midway USA?
I am familiar, yes.
Yeah, Midway USA actually was founded by a guy named, I believe, Larry Larry. His name's Larry. Yeah, I forget. I totally spaced his last name. But anyway, he got his Midway USA actually started as a business to produce Arasaka ammo because no one was producing it in the 60s and 70s, and there was really no supply, and that's how he got going. So, um, okay, so let's go to our let's go to our hot topic of the day, and that is which is the best military Dodge? The half ton, which I own one, 3/4 ton, which I own one, and the M series, which I do not own one. But I think you've got all three, and you've restored or are restoring all three.
Yeah. This is a really hard question, Tim, because each and each and every model has its distinct advantage over the other.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think the question is a good one. And are we talking from, I guess my question is, if we're talking from a utility standpoint or how rugged it is, um, let me put it to you this way. As far as aesthetics and performance are concerned, half ton, without a question. They are the best looking
Hmm.
of all of the vehicles. They were based on the civilian models. I love them. And there is just this beautiful late 1930s and, of course,
Hmm.
early 40s aesthetic to them. They are lighter than the 3/4 ton and following, and they are therefore quicker. They are they can go faster. And in my opinion, having driven a command car and an open cab weapons carrier of the type, they handle better. They just do. They are a heavy truck, but they just handle the best. They really do. As far as performance is concerned, like if what would I trust the most in combat that I could beat up and take a licking and still keep going? M30. I say M37 is because having worked on one, imagine a 3/4 ton beefed up even more,
Hmm.
made simpler. Things are condensed. Um, and the
I
only
think it's
thing
smaller, isn't it? It's smaller than a 3/4 ton slightly. I
I
always get that
believe
impression.
I believe it's a little wider, but not as long.
Okay.
A little wider, but not as long. Um, I think it was as far as layout. If you're sitting in the cockpit, I think it fits you better. It'll fit a person better. The seats are adjustable. The driver's seat's adjustable. That's a huge advantage. You have
Hmm.
doors, so you have that extra feeling of security, whatever that is in a military truck. Um, but the as far as ruggedness, not taking anything away from the 3/4 ton class of World War II, but I'm going to hang my hat on the M37. That being said, from a from a performance standpoint, I think I went back to I think I already gave that to the half ton. I believe the 3/4 ton series of World War II is a good all arounder. It's a jack of all trades design,
Hmm.
but doesn't really, in my opinion, having driven and maintained all three types, I just don't think I don't think it stands out. It doesn't stand out. It did a great job. Fantastic truck. Good, solid, rugged. But I think the M37, as far as ruggedness and just power and ability to
Hmm.
withstand strains of combat, M37 takes the cake on that. Worst in performance, M37 is awful. Think about it. In World War II, your average engine output was 92 to 105 horsepower for your average 3/4 ton.
Hmm.
The stock engine on the M37, 78, and that's at
Whew.
32. That's at 3,200 RPMs.
Hmm.
So your
Right.
engine has to be screaming, and then you've added more weight, more features. It just doesn't like doing 45 miles an hour very often. And if you go 50 with the stock motor, you're going to probably blow it up.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine had a funny story in that he restored a WC-54 ambulance and he sold it and it was bought by a museum and the guy was driving it at like 45 miles an hour in four-wheel drive. And he called him. He's like, "This thing's making a lot of noise." He's like, "Well, yeah, you're driving it in four-wheel drive super fast." My own take on the Dodges, stylistically, hands down, the half ton by far. The Art Deco, the front grille, everything on it. They just have a certain amount of style that the other ones don't have. Style, so they win for style points, and I think for the things that we use them for, I don't think the ruggedness is that important.
No,
Um, because I mean, in most cases they're driven around on roads, parades, maybe a little bit of a trail ride. My WC 51 is just a beast. It's fun to drive. I like it. I enjoy it. Um, but consistently, what I've seen, I've gone to the Vintage Power Wagons rally, and they've done two different competitions there. One is a tough truck competition where they set up like an obstacle course and people drive their vehicles through it. So you'd see a variety. I don't think I'm not sure if there was ever any half tons go through that one. Maybe John Martin took his closed cab pickup through it, but you'd see some random WC 3/4 tons go through there, and the M series on the obstacle course, and the M series always does. The other part of that is a truck pull, and the M series stock trucks, M37s and others of the type, always did really, really well, if not better than a stock power wagon, civilian power wagon of all the different varieties. Now, there are some really kind of fun modified ones. There's a guy who brings one to rally that actually drifts his M37.
Okay. Before we move on, I'm just going to make a quick shout out to the general public watching this. Stop modifying your M37s. They're just fine the way they are. Don't power drift your M37. That's not what it's made for.
Yeah, he runs it around at the fairgrounds there. He runs it around the track, and he drifts it. And it's actually kind of cool. But I I think he's got a bigger gas motor in there of some kind.
Oh yeah.
But he does a good job with it, and that's kind of his thing. And I believe he's a Honda mechanic, what he does
Okay.
for a living. So, and he's had it for a number of years, and his tire, it really looks pretty stock on the outside, but on the under the hood, it's a little bit different. So anyway, yeah, I have somewhere. I have some random video of a guy power drifting an M37, which personally I don't think I would want to do that, just because of in case it goes bad, then you're in this big box of sheet metal flying around. But
Right.
so
You would
anyway.
be shocked at and I think this is the big thing with M series trucks and why they are not only getting popular, they are popular, and now that popularity is increasing. I think the number one reason why most people will purchase an M37 is to repower it. That's
Mhm.
like the number one topic of discussion on the M37's Facebook page, on the forums. Hey, I want to drop a Cummins 2BT, blah, 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 Kubota, blah, blah, blah. I'm repowering it with an SBC. What are the
LS
requirements?
swap.
Yeah, LS swap. I've so many questions, and the reason why is because I don't believe the M37 has quite caught on like a WC has. We're not into that anniversary period of history where they've really caught on. They have their own niche, but they
Hmm.
haven't like caught on as far as a we need to keep this original kind of thing. You don't see too many World War II WCs of the half or 3/4 ton type being repowered. Not too many. And
Hmm.
if they have been repowered, they've been repowered already. Our WC Brutus, our 55, he was repowered by a Plymouth. It was still a Plymouth 6-cylinder straight
Hmm.
inline, but it wasn't the original T215.
Yeah, mine
So
mine has a Plymouth industrial motor in it that I'm
same
told
as same as ours.
came out of a combine. That's what I've heard.
Yep. Ours
But
came out of a forklift.
it's a thicker, I believe it's a thicker structured motor.
Yeah,
But the
arguably better than what was in there originally.
Yeah, yeah, and I doubt that I will change that. My WC needs it's got a weird wonky transmission in it that I need to change, but and it's super low at higher speed. So that's really about the only thing I need to do. Maybe line the gas tank, and my WC runs in pretty good shape. Hey, why don't you tell us about your YouTube channel before we go?
Sure. So the YouTube channel kind of started out as as I've been working through things, and I have noticed as I have searched for help and information, um, kind of a dearth of information for the small finer details of restoring not just a Dodge but any vehicle. So I was really excited when we brought home the two WC21s in 2018. I believe it was around that time or right before then that I decided to start a Facebook page called Dodge Rehab, and I haven't kept up on it, so don't look it up. I've been busy, frontline motor pool and everything, just kind of took over that part of my life. But along with that, I started a YouTube channel, and basically what I'm putting up on there is I do montages of the projects that have already been completed that me and my dad have done. I put those up as kind of a creative, artistic way to show how this process is for people that want to see, start to finish. You're dragging the flat tire truck into the garage,
Hmm.
and we're going to condense over 2 years down into 20 minutes. I also am trying, I still need to work on getting better filming equipment. That's my major thing. My budget is only so much on getting some better lighting and filming equipment. Hopefully in the next 5 years, Lord willing, we'll be moving to a location that actually facilitates a lot better what I'm trying to do with the channel, so I can have room to record,
Hmm.
set up, film, capture, and all that.
Hmm.
But I want to be able to capture the small things. If you go to my channel right now, there's a lot of overview videos of the different vehicles. It's not just Dodge. I'm going to be covering my 1941 Chevy G506 that I bought this year. I did an overview video on that. But the small things, like how I'm having trouble with
Oh, hey,
my,
you forgot to mention the G506s.
oh yeah, well, that was
So
that was one of those
that's
things that I came across by
seven
accident.
trucks,
Eight.
seven,
It's
eight,
going to be eight.
eight. Okay.
It's going to be eight.
Well, would you like to revise your answer? Do we save them
But the
all?
G506, that's a whole different ballwax.
Yeah,
Well,
I had a
the let me.
G506 at one point also, and I wish I could get that truck back. It was a really good project, but it was just way beyond what I could do at that point.
Well, this G506 is the only reason why I got it is because it's in decent shape. It needs a lot of help though, and it is a heavy truck.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering. I always wonder. You know what? I've I may not be able to do this, but I needed to get it out of where it was, which was rotting at a tree line.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I do have a January 41 first contract Chevy G506. So that is going to be a lot of video on Dodge Rehab.
Hmm.
And that's going to be a lot of parts waiting for parts. That's going to take a very long time to do because there are so many parts on that truck it's the winch model. So you got all those additional pieces, parts to look at, assuming I have to rebuild the winch. But, for what I paid for it, it was worth saving.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the fact that it rolled, we almost got it to start and run. So there's a lot of hope for that old truck. But
Hmm.
anyway, as far as my channel goes, yep, I'm just I slowly post. I don't have much up there right now. Um, Winter time kind of shuts me down as far as uh, content. I don't go out to the garage because I don't have a heater. I don't have room for a heater. I will say this. I do have, as far as the half-ton WC21 page, I do have a Facebook page dedicated to that. That is Dodge WC21 Rescue.
Hmm.
And I can provide a link to that. When you post this video on YouTube, I can provide you the link to that. And I post up there pretty regularly. But as soon as the weather breaks here in a couple of months, and I'm able to get some better recording, there's going to be a lot more content up there.
Hmm.
So still a fledgling channel.
Okay. Well, you never know. People may see this 10 years from now.
Yeah,
And
if it
there
helps, if it helps one
be
person, if it helps one person, then it's worth it.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we wrap this up? Hey,
Okay.
thanks for taking some time on your day. And
You're quite welcome.
good talking to you. Great conversation. And I'll check in with you a couple more weeks.
All right, sounds